Now, the Princess of Wales's video message about her own cancer battle was said to be inspired by King Charles, who, of course, went public about his treatment for the disease 6 weeks ago. It follows reports that Harry and Meghan found out about Kate's condition, along with the rest of the world. But despite reaching out privately to the Prince and Princess of Wales, it appears there may be no way back for the Sussexes. Royal insiders claim William and Kate have put the Harry problem behind them as they focus on Kate's recovery. Talk TV's royal editor, Sarah Houston, joins me now. There's always a bit of me in that. I mean, we'll come back to the serious point of this story with Kate in just a moment. But in terms of this turbulent relationship with the brother and the brother-in-law and the sister-in-law and all the rest of it, the Sussexes over there in California, every time something happens, there is a bit of it that hopes this is the moment they get it back together and go, do you know what? Life's too short. It's ridiculous. Look at our shared history. Look at what happened to our mother. Look at how that affected us both as kids. We went through it together. I mean, it's heartbreaking when you think of just that aspect of it. Nothing would surely ever break that excruciating bond that they had to endure. And only their brotherly love carried them through it. So all of that. And yet it appears not. It appears that nothing we have heard or seen so far is likely to change, and to kind of compound the misery, they weren't even told, which you might think protocol, despite everything, would have dictated they would be told.
But I think this was such a closely guarded secret, and for good reason, to protect the children from it until they were ready to break the news to their children in their own way, that they didn't trust Harry and Meghan with that information because they didn't know whether that was going to get out there somehow. And I think it does give us a sign of just how deep that rift is. And look, I think Harry will be reflecting on this. He loves Kate, we know that. He talked about her in the past as that, you know, the sister he'd never had and always wanted. Yeah. There was a real bond between them. But he said some pretty awful things in Netflix and in Spare, some things that William's very angry about and very protective of his wife about. And I think this might have put some of those into perspective for them. But as for whether it's the moment when that rift is going to be healed, yes, it certainly focuses the mind, doesn't it? But I think for the Waleses, for William and Kate, they will want to minimise any kind of stress. They don't want to think about anything else apart from being the five of them. They've got, 4 weeks of the school Easter holidays. They are going to be spending quality time together with their children, and I don't think they want any noises from elsewhere, Montecito or anywhere. Yeah, that makes sense. In terms of this announcement that was made on Friday, we kind of heard about it. Obviously, in newsrooms, you get a little bit of notice, an hour or so. And then, obviously, this huge, now sort of global story. But what we've been hearing over the last day or so is that the King was fairly inspirational to Kate in getting her to deal with that. And we forget, I mean, this is something, you couldn't put this in an episode of The Crown, that they were both actually in hospital at the same time for a bit. There are real uncanny parallels between this. The King admitted to hospital for a procedure, subsequently learnt that he had cancer. While he was there, his daughter-in-law was in hospital for major surgery. She did not believe at that point that it was cancerous, but subsequently found out that she had cancer. Both of them now receiving treatment for cancer. The Princess of Wales has told us that she's having chemotherapy. We don't exactly know the details of the King's treatment, but certainly they will have bonded over that shared experience, an experience that, you know, neither of them wanted to have, but have found themselves in this situation. And it's unprecedented, isn't it? The level of transparency that we've now had, the King talking about his diagnosis, and Catherine there sitting on a bench at Windsor saying to the world, I've got cancer. Yeah. I mean, incredible. And he apparently visited her while they were in the hospital, because they had their own section, as you might imagine, for security and all the rest of it, and was able to go down and see how she was doing. Sit at her bedside. And I also understand, it's been reported that Queen Camilla also visited her when she was visiting the King in hospital as well. And there was a lunch that took place last week, on Thursday of last week, at Windsor Castle. Now, that was the day after the Princess of Wales had recorded her video message, but the day before it was broadcast. And it was a private lunch between her and the King. Wow.
I doubt there's not going to be a running commentary on this, is there?
No, and actually Kensington Palace very clear on this. This was very much a line now. And we got a briefing pack along with the video, which said, you know, we're not going to give any details about the type of cancer. We're not going to give details about the prognosis. We're not going to give a running commentary on this. And then I think, you know, when it comes to timescales as well, we've been gearing towards April the 17th when the children went back to school and thinking that then we might see her back on public duties. I think all of that is parked for now. We just don't know.
Indeed. And just very quickly, 10 seconds if we can, Sarah, Peter Phillips, Princess Anne's son, gave an interview as well, talking essentially about how the King was doing and how frustrated he is that he can't get out there and do all the things he wants to do.
Yes, he said that the King is frustrated that his recovery is taking longer than he might have hoped for, and he's certainly pushing his aides to allow him out and about. We might see him on Easter Sunday. He might take part in Ascot. You never know. And he certainly wants to do Trooping the Colour later on in June.
I hope so. Sarah,
positive
thank you.
Signs, I
Indeed,
guess.
very positive. Sarah Houston, our royal correspondent, with us on the programme.
Hello, Squad. Welcome back to Royal Sussex Squad, where we bring you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth about Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. And today we have to talk about the latest royal family drama that the British media is spinning, because, of course, they just can't stop obsessing over the Sussexes. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and hit that super thanks button to support the channel. So let's dive in. The British press is at it again, peddling the same tired narrative that Harry and Meghan are somehow the villains of the royal saga. This time, they're acting as if Harry and Meghan were wronged because they weren't told about Kate Middleton's cancer diagnosis ahead of time. The media conveniently ignores the fact that Harry and Meghan time and time again have shown nothing but compassion, class and dignity, despite being relentlessly vilified. According to reports, Harry and Meghan found out about Kate's condition at the same time as the rest of the world. And what did they do? They immediately reached out privately to express their support. But of course, the royal mouthpieces in the British media wasted no time in spinning this into some sort of proof that William and Kate have moved on and no longer see Harry as family. The audacity. Let's talk about the real issue here. The British press loves to paint Meghan and Harry as the villains while excusing William and Kate's cold and calculated behaviour. The same people who demanded that Harry and Meghan stay silent about their own mistreatment are now outraged that the Sussexes weren't informed in advance. Make it make sense. This so-called rift was never about Harry and Meghan being villains. It was about them refusing to be controlled. The fact that Harry wasn't informed about Kate's health isn't just a protocol issue. It's a clear message from William and his royal handlers. They do not see Harry as part of the family anymore, all because he refused to fall in line and allow Meghan to be mistreated. And let's be honest, William has been harbouring resentment ever since Harry exposed the toxic culture within the firm. Now, let's address the blatant hypocrisy of the British press. They act like Harry's memoir, Spare, and the Netflix documentary was some kind of betrayal. But what about the years of media smears Meghan endured? What about the lies, the leaks, and the palace sources who worked overtime to undermine her? Where was the outrage then? And let's not forget that William and Kate have never publicly defended Harry and Meghan from the vicious attacks they faced. But now we're supposed to feel sorry for William because he's angry about what Harry said. Please, this selective outrage is exhausting. It's time people wake up and realize that the real problem here isn't Harry and Meghan. The problem is an outdated, out-of-touch monarchy that prioritizes PR over actual family bonds. Harry and Meghan have always shown grace and class despite every attempt to break them. They have built a beautiful life in California, far from the toxicity of the royal bubble. And let's be real, if William and Kate truly cared about mending this so-called rift, they would have reached out to Harry and Meghan privately. Instead, they allow their media allies to continue throwing shade and stirring up drama. It's clear that this was never about reconciliation, it's about control, and Harry and Meghan refuse to play their game. So, Squad, what do you think about this latest media circus? Should Harry and Meghan even bother trying to reconnect with people who clearly don't respect them? Or is it time for the British media to finally move on and accept that the Sussexes are thriving without the firm? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And as always, if you love what we do here, hit that like button, subscribe, and don't forget to support the channel by sending a super thanks. Until next time, stay strong, stay informed, and keep supporting Harry and Meghan. See you in the next one.